Hello, everyone, and welcome to OCP Gaming. My name is Jeremy Nichols, and of course, I'm your host. And we're back with some Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. We've done one episode of some Pac-Man on the Atari 2600, and I figured it's time to do another one. We are playing on the Nintendo Switch using a Switch Pro controller and playing the game via the Atari 50 collection. I do have an actual cartridge of this that I could play on the Atari 7800 Plus I have, but it's just an easier option, just, you know. So I wanted to play this not only because I just, felt like playing it, but also I wanted to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6, that everything just got announced for it, the price, and we now know the official release date for it, but people are losing their minds over the price of it being $80 for the standard edition and $100 for the, what is it, the deluxe edition, whatever they're calling it. But essentially, it's $80 for the regular game, and you're missing, like, you won't be getting, there's a ton of stuff you won't be getting in game. Like, there's certain stores that won't be available, and certain basically cosmetic stuff and everything that you would normally get in the game anyway. If you just bought, any other edition of Grand Theft Auto would have all this stuff regularly in it. You wouldn't have to buy anything extra to get it. But people are losing their minds over not just the price increase of the base game, because people have been fearing that game prices were going to go up to $80 anyway, but also the fact that, oh, I died. But also the fact that so much of the single player is being left out, and Rockstar's being greedy about it. And then to add on to it, there's not, like, you can go get a physical box for the game, but there's not going to be an actual disc. It's just going to be a box with a download code so you can download the game, right? So there's not even going to be a disc for it. Now, in the few hours it's been since all of it was announced, Rockstar, have hinted that there might be a disc version of the game in December, I think. So, I don't know. It seems to me like maybe they went, you know what, we're going to do a disc version of the game, but we're going to wait until around Christmas time to push it out to consumers. And I don't know, like, first let's talk about the price. I don't give a shit that the price went up to $80 for the standard game. And I say that as somebody who lived through the 80s and 90s, and video games were more expensive back then for a hell of a lot less. And I've talked about that on Reading Reddit and the Co-op show many times, that my mom bought me Turok 2 Seeds of Evil for the Nintendo 64, and it was $84.99. Now, that was a Nintendo 64 game at Funcoland in 1999. So, Grand Theft Auto 6 being $80 is not remotely shocking to me. And the way I kind of see it is that, Grand Theft Auto 5, I think I bought it when it was brand new, obviously. It was like $60, right? And I got over 10 years out of that game. Like, I don't have an exact number of how many hours I played the game, but I played it a lot, like a lot. So I got my money's worth out of it. And I believe with Rockstar's track record, knowing the games that, oh, come on, knowing the games that they've come out with, and, just basing it on their history, I have no concern that I'm going to get, I'm certain I'm going to get the same thing here. I think I'm going to get, you know, a great game that I play a shitload of and have a lot of fun with. And if I can get that for $80 and I can get even a quarter of the time out of it that I got out of the part 5, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm happy that the price has gone up, because, nobody wants to pay more for anything. I'm certainly not one of those I don't have a disposable income, and I'm not flush with cash or anything, but I'm not one to sit and go, well, it should always remain low. I understand it's a business. I understand the amount of money that it takes to make these games. And I go, well, the last game had so much to it, right? And they released so much. I mean, obviously it was online, and people have their qualms about the online, and, oh, well, no single player stuff. I didn't really give a shit about that. Um, but, they created a whole online community with all kinds of stuff that you could do. I mean, it was fun. I had fun. Me and Petey, my former co-host, spent a lot of time there, and it did a lot of stuff. It was great. So it's like, if we can get that, and it's slightly more because the game's bigger and it's got more of everything and stuff like that, then all right. Hey, people got to get paid for their work too on top of it. I don't necessarily agree that I guess it depends on what the difference is going to be between the standard and the deluxe edition. That is, the standard's missing these things that they're touting, like, hey, this is what you get if you pay the extra, $20. Now, if it on paper, it sounds a lot like it's going to be stuff that you need. Like, there's like a clothing store, there's some other stuff, and it sounds like stuff that, like I said, you might need, but I'm starting to wonder if it's mostly cosmetic shit, right? Like, I can't imagine they're putting out a game for $80 and it's going to be missing something that's required to finish the game or fully enjoy the game. And I'm thinking that maybe because they haven't really detailed everything in the game, we just don't know, and people are jumping to conclusions because A, that's what people do, and B, gamers tend to do it just about as worse as anybody. They always, for some reason, think the worst of everything when it comes to gaming. They love gaming, but if somebody does something that they moderately don't understand or don't agree with, they're like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. And I've already seen, boycott Rockstar and all this other crap, and it's like, I mean, I'm buying the game. I'll tell you that right now. The other thing that I think is funny is that there's pre-order bonuses. And they're like, well, if it's a digital game, you don't need to pre-order because they're not going to run out. Because the whole idea behind pre-ordering was that it ensured you got a copy of the game. That's, just to make sure that they had enough discs and sent out, because they've had that problem before where there just wasn't enough copies sent out. So it ensures that you get a copy. But with a digital game, you don't have to print anything out. It's, it's either there, you either download it or you don't. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, why do you have to pre-order a digital version, or why would you? Like, obviously they give you stuff to, reasons. you know, if you pre-order it, you get this, you get this, you get this. And um, I think that's great, you know. But in my view, the pre-order is to continue to fund the game, you know. And it's just like the early access games on Steam or Xbox that you can buy. They say up front, hey, this ain't done. But if you buy the early access now, that's going to continue to fund the game, where we can continue to keep making it and add more stuff. And like, I bought the Long Dark on early access for like, I think it was $20, and they ended up adding so much to it because you know, it helped to fund it, you know, so they had the budget to add stuff to it, and it added so much. And they even said, you know, if you buy early access, you don't have to worry about, you know, paying the full price when this thing goes completely live, right? And it's all done, which was cool because it was a great game, right? I didn't mind it, and I actually like that idea of that. If I buy it now, I get it on the ground floor, I get something to play. You know, it's not like GoFundMe where I got nothing to show for it but hopes and dreams, and it funds the game at the same time so they can keep making it. Like, that's cool as shit, man. So I kind of see that maybe that's what Rockstar's doing, although some people would argue that, well, they've got enough money, you know, they don't need any extra, you know. And I don't know the financials behind it. I know that they made a shitload of cash off GTA Online. I think they said it's close to $1 billion, but there's a lot that goes in. You're talking about a lot of money to pay people to make stuff, to license music, to do this, to do that. There's a lot to it. It's not as simple as just make the game and push it out there. There's, you know, when you're talking about a game as robust as Grand Theft Auto, you know, you're talking about, there's a lot that goes into it financially, and a lot of legwork, you know. So I don't think they're just sitting on it waiting to pounce and get out there, you know. Obviously, if they were greedy about it, they would have pushed the game out already, right? And they would have been like, okay, let's just make money. Let's just get it out there and make money. We don't care if it's really finished or not, you know. You know, we've got your money, so. But, oh shit, they got me. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pick it up, and obviously a lot of the backlash is just people that have tinfoil hats that, you know, it's just what gamers do. I knew that there wasn't gonna be a way that this game was gonna be announced, released. There was really not gonna be a price point where the company would make a feel like they could make a profit, you know, because they have to make a profit. They have to, you know, it is a business. But there was no way that there was going to be a price point where the company would be happy and customers and gamers would be happy. You know, there was always, even if they released it for $60, you knew somebody was going to bitch and moan and complain. And now they're saying no online out of the gate, which I'm fine with, because that's how Part 5 was, and it made sense because you got to play the game and got used to it, understood the mechanics and how stuff works, and then, you know, online hits. So I remember going into online being kind of prepared, you know, like, cool, I know the guns, I know what cars I like, I know the city, you know. It was good, instead of being just thrown in and going, okay, good luck, guys, have fun. But there's no way they weren't making anyone happy with this at all. It was always going to be some horse shit, people complaining about something. But yeah, I'll get it. It looks fun. Yes, I'm getting the deluxe edition too. It's fine. I've got till November. If I need to save up the money, then I can save up the money. And that's what I was going to say about pre-ordering. you know, when it's a deluxe or a digital. Like, why would people pre-order? That's been the question. Well, sometimes you have the money right now and maybe you don't have it later, right? And there are some places like GameStop where you could pre-order it and pay it off while you're waiting, right? So you don't have to pay it all off right away, but you can make payments on it. And for some people, that is a way to get it. And I know there's going to be those that say, well, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. And yes, I kind of in that camp, dude. If you can't afford this, don't break yourself buying it. But at the same time, if there's a way for you to be able to afford it with payments over time, why not pre-order it and pay it off? It's no different than layaway. Layaway was a big thing when I was a kid, and for a long time before that, they actually did away with it now. I don't know any places that do layaway anymore. But layaway used to be, I want these items, here's some money down, and they pay it off over time. That was totally fine, you know, so it should be acceptable now. So, all right, that's it. That's my rant. I just wanted to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 and all the stuff that's going on with that. Play a little Pac-Man. We did our first game was the best at 1749. Second was not too bad at 1477. Then we ended at 1608. So not too bad, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. Make sure you check out ocpgaming.podme.com for the OCP Gaming Podcast and use the code OCP Gaming to save 10% off your next purchase of Dubby Energy. It works. I use it every day. I would never tell you to buy anything that doesn't work or that I don't use. So links are in the description below, but that is it. That's all I've got for you guys. And until next time, farewell.